Story of my life. Hit the button, hit the button. Hello, gals and pals. It's time again for cocktail hour. And actually, I'm just enjoying a shot. So welcome. Thank you for being here. With us is, as always, Sherry the Rev.
Hello.
And the unbelievably fantastic Colette Moody.
Why, hello. I'll settle for unbelievably fantastic. That was not where I thought you were going.
I like mixing it up. So today we're going to be discussing a book called The Spy Lover by Kiana Davenport. But before we get into that, we got to, do a little round of who's drinking what. So Sherry, you're up. What you got?
I have some delicious grapefruit juice and seltzer water.
Nice. Very refreshing.
It's one of my go-tos. It's so yummy.
Grapefruit juice is just wrong.
So you probably wouldn't like the raisins in the bottom.
No, I can't say that I would.
I'm just kidding.
Well, I was hoping that you were. But yeah, I mean, so are you a Fresca lover then?
No, I'm really not much for soda.
But you're having seltzer and grapefruit, which is grapefruit soda. So why wouldn't you just drink Fresca?
Because this is just water that I put bubbles in. And I just carbonated the water and just 100% juice. And it's almost solidly water, just maybe an ounce or two of grapefruit juice.
That sounds awful. Enjoy that.
My wife, every time I use a different juice or something else, she's just like, wow, that really smells good, but I know it's going to taste like shit. So, and every time I get her to try one, she's like, oh, Jesus, that's awful. So,
yeah, it's so funny. Well, it's probably still healthier than, popping open a Fresca.
That's right. Oh, and today is, if my sobriety was a baby, it would be being ready to be born. Today is, I'm 9 months.
Wow.
Any boozy goodness.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. Let's have a drink.
Yes. Cheers to that.
Cheers. Woohoo. Okay.
You guys are the best.
Paulette, what are you drinking?
I am having Breckenridge's spiced whiskey with some maraschino cherries brandied in bitters.
That sounds so good. Can you show us? Can you lift it up and show us what it looks like?
I can.
Look at that. It almost looks like caramelish,
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I think that really is kind of the juice from the cherries. It's
a nice glass also.
Oh, why, thank you. That is one of my McCormick's Irish whiskey glasses that came in a set. There is nothing better than right after the holidays. All of those gift sets that they sell at the liquor store.
Yep.
Get some good stuff.
For reduced prices.
Yeah.
The little glasses. I have some from Caroline's Irish Cream, and I love those little glasses. They're adorable.
Mm-hmm.
And the booze is kind of cheap too if you get it all.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yep.
For my birthday, I got a Maker's Mark, almost like a whiskey flask size bottle of it, and it came with a glass that said whiskey Tango Foxtrot, so it's like WTF.
Nice.
Which I thought was kind of cute. Yeah. All right, so I want to let y'all know that the idea of alcohol to me today was just gross. You know what I mean? It's like, and I haven't drank. I don't think I've had an alcoholic beverage since the last time we're on the show. I don't know, but it's been a while. So Colette's sipping a delicious drink. I'm thinking about it. So I thought
that's what peer pressure is, kids.
That's peer pressure, y'all.
Stay in school.
Stay in school, kids. Don't be bad, okay?
Oh my God. So the story that we're going to talk about today is set during the Civil War, the American Civil War. And I'm looking across my computer and I see all my bar because that's where I'm sitting. So I see this lovely bottle of Redemption Rye, and it makes me think of the Civil War. So I got a shot glass, as much as I didn't want to drink, and I put it in the shot glass, and I'm drinking it straight. And I got to tell you, it's delicious. I might not stop drinking this until I pass out.
That would be bad, but
there's always a lot of fun on the show when Andy gets sloshed.
That's true, but I have to say that Redemption Rye is my favorite rye, and I highly, highly recommend it. They have a whole line of whiskeys and bourbons and ryes, and of what I have tasted, there hasn't been a bad one in the lot. So. And it's not super expensive, so it's nice to find like a really nice mid-range go-to rye or go-to bourbon. And I mean, it's good enough that you can just drink it neat. You don't need to use it for mixing.
I'll pick up a bottle for my brother for Christmas, maybe.
It's really good. It's very smooth.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, it's good. Good.
Yeah, because initially I was like, well, maybe I can find some laudanum. Because that would be really appropriate.
Oh my God, you still have my address, right? So if you find
some opium would be, that would be even better.
And so topical.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Very topical.
All right. So should we read the
Absolutely.
All right.
We should.
Okay. And we haven't really talked about our feelings about the book privately yet. So
we haven't talked about our feelings.
Yeah.
How's that make you feel?
Excited. I'm excited about talking about this with you guys. All right. So The Spy Lover, which is a really shitty title.
Can we just all go on record and say that title sucks balls? It doesn't even really make sense.
Nope.
Not really.
I mean, other than the fact that it is a spy
who has
in the book, and she does love some people.
Yeah.
Also, so not only is the title awful, the cover sucks ass too. I just
agreed.
Put that out there.
I didn't look at the cover. I'm glad I didn't.
It's.
Okay, go ahead. Read the summary.
It's like a chick's naked back, and then
with a rose, and then a black and white photo of some, I'm assuming, Civil War people.
All right, I'm going to look this up while you read the summary.
All right. Thrust into the savagery of the U.S. Civil War, a Chinese immigrant fighting for the Union Army, a nurse-turned-spy, and a one-armed Confederate cavalryman find their lives inextricably entwined. Johnny Tom, a Chinese immigrant, is promised American citizenship if he serves with the Union Army. But first, he must survive the carnage of battles and rampant racism among the ranks. Desperate to find him, his daughter, Era, becomes a Union spy while nursing soldiers in Confederate camps. She falls in love with Warren, a one-armed cavalryman, and her loyalties become divided between her beloved father in the North and the man who sustains her in the South. An extraordinary novel that will stand as a defining work on the Chinese immigrant experience. The Spy Lover is a peon. I don't know what that word is. Paean.
I think it's peon, but I shall Google it.
All right then. So The Spy Lover is a paean to the transcendence of love and resilience of the human spirit. It's really not that.
Okay, this says it's peon.
Okay,
like European.
If you're an American in the kitchen, what are you in the bathroom? European.
That's right.
That's so
all right.
bad.
So Andy, you've had time to look at the
drink
and also drink.
You can do both at the same time.
I can multitask, damn it.
All right. Did you look at the cover?
Yeah, it sucks ass.
Completely.
Actually, it sucks dirty, hairy ass.
It's not very nice. I mean, granted, it's nicer than some.
Yes, it's
some others that we've seen.
Yeah, but I don't like it.
Okay, so I didn't notice if this was put out by a major publisher or if this is published. Thomas and Mercer, who I get into a lot of their books.
And I think that this author is fairly
popular.
highly regarded.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like she has a real way with language.
Mm-hmm.
And from, you know, just sort of the mechanics of it, she's some of her prose is beautiful.
It is.
And beautifully descriptive.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. So why don't we go ahead and kind of just talk a bit about our, go ahead.
No, I'm just stretching. Whoa! Yes, I will. I would like to tell the audience that I think all three of us listened to the audiobook. So
yes,
it made it, I think, in this case, I think it made it a much more enriching experience.
Yeah.
For me, it did. And the guy they had narrated, he wasn't bad. He was not bad. Mm-hmm. And I have to agree with the two of you that the prose was amazing, just amazing. The subject matter is heavy duty, and it is not happy. I don't think there's. I don't know that there's one happy moment in here. I mean, even when there was some love in the afternoon, it was still strangled by, you know,
horror
and disease and filth, and you know, so it was not a happy read. It was not.
No, and I think that that's part of the reason that I never officially got into this book. Right?
Really? Because I know you had that problem after about 4 hours.
Well, I mean, yeah, I had that problem forever. So I started it and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to stop this because I just can't right now. Right. Because, you know, and again, I feel like this happened to me in other books that we've done as well, where shit's bad in the world right now. And it, you know, so when you pick up a book that's like, and then he caught fire and she drove a spike through his eye and then he peed blood and died. I mean, like, all of the shit that happens in this book to all of these people is pretty awful. I don't know that. Well, so Johnny Tom, who is, I mean, essentially there are three main characters in this book and we rotate POV amongst them, right? So there's Johnny Tom, the Chinese immigrant, and then there is his daughter, his grown daughter, who is the spy. I don't know if she's the spy lover. She's the spy.
I think Warren would be the spy lover.
Right. And then there is the Confederate soldier that she nurses back to health while spying for the Union Army. And I don't know that I mean, I guess of all of the three, I guess I liked Johnny the best. I found him the most redeemable character of the three. He went through some absolutely horrific things as a Chinese immigrant. He was a slave. He was peed on. He was beaten. He was repeatedly abused verbally and physically. And that just became so hard for me to get through that I started this book a while ago. And I didn't finish it until yesterday evening because I was like, God damn it, I'm going to finish this. If we weren't recording this today, I would still be struggling through it because I just couldn't listen to it for extended periods of time without just becoming so depressed and despondent because it's just awful. It's awful. And I get it, man. I get that the Civil War was awful.
Yes, the subject matter was awful. It definitely was. And I think she did a really good job. And admittedly, I have not done a lot of reading of that time period, right? Stories that are built in that historical time period. But this one really brought the matter home as to how absolutely awful it was for both sides. I mean, things I've heard before, and I'm sure there's a kernel of truth in most everything that's in there, but holy crap, man. I was just like, oh, wow, that's terrible. That's terrible. And, you know, same thing, you know?
This is what I want to say about that. So over the last few weeks, I've kind of gotten into the Civil War, and I rewatched Ken Burns' documentary on the Civil War. And there were so many things that I felt like the author was sitting there watching and going, "Oh yeah, oh that too," because even some of the language that she used to describe like so and so, I can't remember the general's name, had his horse shot out from under him 16 times. That is verbatim from the section in the Ken Burns documentary. So much so that even like there were a few points when I was like, Jesus Christ, like seriously, did you just sit there and watch this? Like the parts with the photo glass in the greenhouses, that was directly in the damn show. Like they even had pictures of the greenhouses with the. Some of it made me kind of mad because I felt
I can hear it coming through now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's because I just finished watching it. Maybe, but it was like, because you know how I am, I will remember lines and exact phrasings of things, and it was like,
oh my.
And so, you know, and it seemed like wherever Warren was, that's where all of the people that were in the Ken Burns documentary.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was, I mean, so he was at Shiloh, right? Isn't that where he loses an arm, which let me just say, so he's a cavalryman who is right-handed, and he loses his right arm. And they patch that motherfucker up.
Yeah.
And say, learn how to shoot with your left.
Yeah.
And they send him right back to the cavalry.
Don't worry about it. I've been injured. I caught a bullet, but my wound wasn't bad enough for them to send me home. You lost your fucking arm from 6 inches above your elbow. That's your whole damn arm. You know, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't just slap you. You got to hold on if you're a cavalryman.
Yeah,
right?
What are you going to shoot with?
I don't
do a Xena and hold on with the thighs and the knees. You know?
Yes.
I picture his thighs must have been like tree trunks.
And then he was talking about how somebody during one of the battles used their bayonet, and maybe this can happen. It doesn't seem real to me, where whoever it was, I don't think it was him with his one arm, I think it was somebody else, stabbed some dude with his bayonet while he's riding a horse, picked the dude up, and used him as a human shield. How strong do you and that bayonet fixture have to be able to haul up a grown?
Well, people were smaller then.
Oh my God.
Maybe dude only weighed like 110 pounds.
Or less. Weren't they all starving basically?
Yeah.
Well, that's true, because apparently they were eating their own lice to subsist.
Yeah, I think that was all in the coffee. Oh, we're making coffee out of it. That was all in there word for word also. I mean,
wow.
Maybe not word for word in that part, but seriously, it's like the research that was done for the book was just watching this marathon.
Words together well.
It's on PBS. It's on Netflix. So you got Netflix. Give it a watch. Let me know what you think. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think so. Besides that, I mean, don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed the fact that there was legit facts and details in there. I just wish I hadn't, already known all of them from the same place.
Yes, spoiler alert, the Union wins.
They do.
But so there were a couple other things that made it tough for me to get into. The like Colette, I started it a while ago too. I would listen for half hour, 45 minutes, and then I didn't even remember what the hell was going on while I was listening, so I put it away. and then I'd have to start over. I must have started over 3 or 4 times.
Well, I liked that you were like, oh yeah, I'm well into it. I only have like 9 hours left. And I'm like, it's only 9 hours long.
Yeah, so I can't get into it. I only got 9 hours to go. It's fine. I had 8 hours and 45 minutes, but it was fun.
But it felt, I mean, and I get you, man, because it felt
like
twice as long. Yeah, it felt like you had made you had been sitting through it for hours, because I mean it's just harrowing. It's so I mean, and again, I get that I mean the Civil War was terrible, and what those soldiers had to live through was horrific, and what the people, you know, particularly women and children who were living in towns that were attacked had to deal with was horrible. But Jesus Christ, can we have like one moment where it is not just a bleak shitstorm of despair and dysentery?
Yeah.
Is that possible? Like, could we have, I don't know, somebody finds a flower, or the sun shines, or somebody's not squirting liquid poo that they need to take opium for? I mean, can we have a moment where, I don't know, somebody tells a pun, something fun.
So I did learn. I had no idea about all the opium stuff. That was not in the Canada's documentary. So kudos to the author. I had no idea about any of that. That was really interesting. And again, you know, talking about the Chinese immigrant aspect, I found that very enlightening. Also, I didn't know a lot of that stuff, and seeing that from Johnny's point of view, that was really interesting. So the other things that made it tough for me were I wasn't always sure where Johnny was, what side he was fighting for, and what the hell was going on. So eventually I just stopped trying to pay attention to that and just paid attention to the action that was going on and who he was with at that moment. Because I think in the beginning, I think that was part of my problem, is that he's fighting for with the Confederates, then he's with the Union, then I couldn't figure out where he was.
Right. So as a slave, he's forced to fight for the Confederacy. And then during battle, I think when he gets an opportunity, he defects and turns himself in to the Union and says that he wants to fight.
Right. And once he got to that point, and he's like, of course I want to fight for you. You know, my wife was a slave. I was a slave. This is bullshit. We're not doing this anymore. Once I decided that I wasn't going to worry about where people were, and, but
that's still problematic.
It was, but it did help. It helped me. I decided what I was going to focus on. The other thing that threw me off a lot is, so the different chapters, and again, we all did the audiobook, so I don't know how this would have looked in print, but you would have like the chapter title would be Warren, Shiloh, or Era, wherever the hell she was. But then the POV would switch. You would have a good chunk of it being in that person's POV, and then all of a sudden it moves to somebody else. And
so let's talk about having the POV be from 3 different people.
And sometimes from an omnipotent narrator who it was just kind of all over the place. Right.
Or from just sort of not even a secondary character, like a tertiary character. I mean, so there was
at the end.
Plus, I found it, I mean, I can't say distracting because it wasn't distracting, but so this whole thing is in present tense, which I I have to say is just not my favorite. So and so stands and picks up a such and such. I don't understand why authors use present tense in that way. To me, it just makes it challenging to really describe, just because, I mean, to me, it feels and sounds awkward in my head when clearly everything is in the past. So why are we in present tense?
Normally, that I don't care for present tense either. I don't know why I didn't notice. Maybe there was just so many other things. Maybe that was part of the issue that I was having and didn't realize that that's what it was. But the POV and not knowing where the hell people were, those were the tough things for me to get into it. Once I started focusing, and all the history stuff that started getting to me too, just because it was pissing me off. The personal interactions, I like those a lot.
Well, and any major battle, one of the three characters at a minimum, if you heard of it, somebody was there.
They were there.
Right? So Johnny was at Gettysburg and Warren was at Shiloh, and any of those somebody was at. So
she definitely did a lot of covering of historical stuff. And some of the, like in the beginning too, when Warren is writing letters back home, sometimes those letters really felt like an info dump. Like, how would he know some of the things that he was sharing with them? And I don't remember. I had, as I was there, he has one big letter. I think it's the one where he was going on about my flesh wound.
His flesh wound.
Somebody a flesh wound? What are you going to do? Bleed on me? Yeah. Was a bit like that.
There were some aspects of things, operational things or mechanical things. I can't remember exactly what it was, but as I'm listening, I'm like, how the fuck would you know all of this? And it just felt like, like the author was just kind of, here's all the other stuff I couldn't fit in a conversation.
Did you feel like Warren, as a member of the cracked one-armed cavalry sniper battalion, did you feel like he knew a lot? He knew a lot of information that ultimately he passes on to Era, who is spying for the Union Army. So, did you feel like maybe he knew way more than a dude? Yeah.
Throughout the whole thing. And did we even know what rank he was? Was he a captain? I don't think he was. I don't know what the hell his rank was, but yeah, he knew way too much, especially since he never really spent any time with anybody outside of the other just dudes or Era. I don't know that he really talked to anybody, but he knew everything that was going on.
He did.
Yeah. In my mind, so overall, I feel like this author did a lot of research. I felt like it was fairly immersive. This was the most fucking depressing book. And I think I'm just not in a frame of mind really to be like, oh, hey, poop and blood. Woohoo! It was hard. It was really hard for me to get through. And even, like, how spoilery are we going to be? I know this is not a new book.
I say
we should spoil it away.
Okay, so even if you want to call this a happy ending, it's the most depressing fucking happy ending ever.
I didn't think so. Did you?
Because one of the main characters thinks that he kills one of the other main characters. It's like, wow.
He did shoot her a couple times.
He did. Yeah.
He did. And yeah. So he thought he killed her. And then when he finds out that she's still alive, he's like, God damn it. So he's like torn between, I really thought I fucking killed her, and I love her.
Well, by the end, he loves her, and they have the kid. And I didn't see the kid coming. But matter of fact, when the doctor says, "Well, we saved your lung," and the fetus was still viable, and I was like, "Oh, there's a baby."
Yeah, and I guess we probably should have seen that coming, because they were banging like crazy. And it's not like there was really any birth control in that era to speak of. But yeah, and then when it was time to give birth, she went out into the woods and squatted at a tree and ate her own placenta. I was like, all right, thumbs up, good for you, honey. That's very empowering. Like that was probably the most lighthearted moment of the book.
Yeah, that's saying something too.
Well, that was right before she was going to strangle the baby.
Yeah.
Right.
But she didn't.
Yeah. Well, she actually started to, and then she decided, nah, I better not.
I love it. I love the baby.
Oh my God. And I gotta say, was it Johnny Tom? Is that her dad, Johnny Tom?
Johnny
Yes.
Tom.
He did not have a happy ending, y'all.
Oh my God, I know.
Dude, nobody does. That's what I'm telling you. Even the people who don't die a horrific death, like they don't have a happy ending either.
I renamed Johnny Tom Matt. I couldn't remember his name. It became Matt in my head.
Guy with no arms and no legs. Who lays
Take
by
the
the
bandages off already. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Well, he still had legs, didn't he? He just didn't have any arms. Oh no.
No. He basically
He
was a torso in a diaper.
Yeah, man. Awful.
And it took him 3 months to die. Another lighthearted, whimsical moment.
Can you please take the bandages off? Dude, we took those bandages off weeks ago. Oh, why can't I move my arms?
Mm-hmm. It was super, yeah, it was a super dark read.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, like
it's darker than anything else that we read.
But instead of the spy lover, it could have just been everything sucks and all these people die.
Dysentery and death.
Yeah, it totally could have been. And then I would have felt a little bit more probably prepared.
So while I don't recommend it necessarily, but again, even while I didn't like a lot of stuff about the book, the writing was really pretty.
She's a great writer.
I mean, the writing
she is
pretty. It was nice to actually hear some vocabulary, you know, in a lot of the stuff that we read. It's not really, you know, it's not prose focused. But this was, even the gross nasty stuff was pretty to read, you know, evocative.
Yeah, I would read another book by her, although, you know, I think it can only get better from here. But her prose, as you say, is very good. So I will check out another one. Maybe I can find something a little happier. But if that doesn't work, I'm off.
She's got a load of books, and like this particular one, if anybody's interested in reading it and you're part of the Kindle Unlimited program, you can get the ebook through the Kindle Unlimited program, and then you can, like, we picked up the audio for $2.
Cool.
Once you check out the Kindle Unlimited, you get the deal on the audiobook.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say that she's not immersive, right? But as far as the main characters go, I mean, I don't know that I liked him enough to suck up all the horrific things that they went through.
They felt, honestly, the characters felt flat to me. I didn't. I mean, Johnny Tom, we did get some background about Johnny Tom, but not. I didn't feel connected to anybody in the book at all. I think the closest I got would be Era. I don't know why, really. I just didn't. And I didn't really feel all that connected to her either. I really, honestly, didn't care. And when they all started, you know, when we thought that they were dead or whatever, I was like, okay.
That's the thing, right? So, I mean, basically, Warren, spoiler alert, Warren shoots Era.
He finds
after he discovers that she's a spy, and that she has been taking all of the information that he inexplicably has about the Confederate Army and their one-armed sharpshooter cavalry regiment, and basically transmitting it to the feds. You know, he gets mad and shoots her. And at that point, I was like, wow, okay. But then I looked and realized that there were like 19 more chapters or something. And I was like, there's no way she's dead. I mean, it's just too...
Is when you know, they come back and they say, the people who are digging the grave, like, oh, we found her. And then he stops them from really showing the whole thing. And
so who do we think that was?
Some random chick, I don't know.
Some rando. Rando dead lady in the woods. It happens all the time. And in this book, it does.
It does. She was just some rando NPC. It didn't matter. She was cannon fodder. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't care. I felt bad when Johnny Tom died. But
yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
I felt bad because he suffered so much, and because he was loved by all of the dudes. You know, he was the only one that really had any depth to him.
He seemed like the one true sort of pure character.
Yeah.
So I think that it was particularly unfortunate that he is the character who has the most horrific end.
Yeah.
Right. And then the two characters that I could kind of take or leave, particularly Warren, fuck that dude. I mean,
she didn't really love me, man. She did. You could tell that she did. Just, you know, and he's like, I'm not very secure when it comes to tough shit, man.
Well, and I mean, it's kind of, you know, all of it. There was just so much awfulness, right? In the general era of this book, no pun intended. And like when Johnny Tom's first wife is 14, or is it his second wife? His second wife is 14.
Yeah.
You know, now that was interesting that she was half Native American and half white, but we never really get, because she is not a character that really appears in this book. She's just somebody that they talk about, because by the time we get into the story, she's already dead.
Yeah.
I feel like her story would have been much more interesting.
Yeah.
But then again, she also meets a horrible end.
Horrible. And, you know, the probably one of the only times I actually felt any kind of connection to Era is when she was screaming at Warren about why she
is a spy
working for the Confederacy, or for the Union rather, and that bit hit me.
Yeah, it was a powerful moment.
Being raped and watching her mother being murdered while she's, you know, that was, I mean, if we had that kind of a connection with Era all the way through it, some raw emotion at some point, I think my reactions to her would have been a little different.
Right. But then Warren decides to shoot her.
Right. Warren, I didn't have any positive feelings about I didn't really have many negative feelings except for when he was being a whiny little baby about Era. She didn't love me. I'm going to find her and find out if she really loved me. Really? That's all you care about? You tried to kill her.
So, you know, the war ends and he learns in a highly implausible coincidence.
What? He finds pictures of, there's, you know, millions of people involved in the war, and he finds 2 pictures in 2 completely different areas of the country and all of that. Honey.
Does she realize she just made a cameo in the mirror? That's hilarious.
I think she wants her purse, which is on the thing. Hold on, I'm going to turn my camera off. Hopefully I'll be able to turn it back on.
No.
So, but I mean, the thing that was remarkable to me is that, so the war ends and he discovers that she's still alive, even though initially he's like, God damn it, I wanted her dead, or do I?
Yeah.
And then, so there's this information that he receives that she has moved to the Pacific Northwest. And he's like, well, hi.
There was the cameo.
Yeah.
He's like, oh my God, at this point, she must be what, 21? And I'm like, oh my God. There's just so much terribleness in this book.
Yeah.
It was just, I mean, it's not like biting off more than you can chew. It's like trying to swallow, you know, just an entire meatloaf in a single bite.
Or swimming in quicksand.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I get it, right? I get that it sucked, but I don't want to marinate in the suckage 24/7 because it's just too hard, right? I mean,
the next book that you picked out for us to read is a nonfiction book about the Zodiac killer. So
yes,
it's our holiday cheer book, y'all.
Well, yeah, I mean that just seems appropriate for the holidays. But I mean, I don't know. I just, I don't know. It was just hard to read. All the racism and the rape and the
3 R's: racism, rape, and
what's the other R? I'm a little afraid.
Rancidness.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of rotten stuff. So yeah, it could be that. But yeah, there's not a single lighthearted moment of escapism in any of it.
Nope.
You know, and maybe that is just wishful thinking for me. But I mean, that's what I read books for.
Yeah.
Like if I want to if I want to be immersed in the shit, then I'll just turn on CNN.
Was it just me, or when they did a love scene between Era and Warren, did you guys like ski? Because all I kept thinking was, where's the fresh water? Did they clean up? You know, how dirty is this guy? How dirty is she? And I'm just getting grossed out just thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't think that it occurred to me.
Oh my God. It's kind of like the characters kiss in the morning or make out and they haven't brushed their teeth. It's the same fucking thing. And I keep thinking, they gotta smell their own dirty asses. What the hell?
They do talk a lot about the smell.
Dysentery and the smell and the lice. And I'm thinking, you find a romantic moment? What the shit? Because literally, what the shit? You know what I'm saying.
I think Warren brings up body odor and smells a lot. I think it was him that did that. Which I mean, there were a lot of things that.
She's speechless.
My dog just yawned really loud. I don't know. There was she really does a good job with description and setting the scene. You know, talking about some of the stuff that happened in the medical tent and or the wherever the hospital things where they're cutting stuff off and saws. And I mean, if you're looking for a view into what it was like, you can either read this book or you can watch the Ken Burns documentary.
Well, which, to be fair, is no small investment either.
That's true.
Right? It's not like Ken Burns is a master of brevity.
Oh no, it's like 8 or 10 episodes long each one.
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't even talk about baseball without it being like 15 episodes.
I watched so far. I think I've watched the Civil War one twice, and then I watched the Dust Bowl, which was interesting.
That's like a single, right?
No, that was the series also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I am not a huge baseball fan. I don't know if you guys are, but I thought baseball was awesome.
Really?
Yeah, he made it so interesting because, of course, it starts so far back, and then he really gets into the dynamics of, and then just talking about things like desegregating and things like what a dickhead Ty Cobb was. He is a brilliant documentarian.
I agree.
I have loved everything by him that I have seen.
If you haven't seen the Dust Bowl one, I learned a lot. I mean, there were things in there that I had never even considered. And, part of the causes of the actual dust and all of that. And there's so many little things that get brought up. Like when I was living at home growing up, we always in the cabinet had your glasses upside down. We don't do that now, in our house, but that was something that we always did. And I just figured it was because, my house was gross and we didn't want shit falling in there. But they were doing that in the Dust Bowl era, because if they didn't, when they went to go get something to drink, the glasses were filled with dust. It was just little things that that get talked about.
I still store my glasses like that.
Upside down? Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Why we don't now, but that's how, and it was just little things that, the thing I love about documentaries, and I get a lot of shit from my wife and kid about this, because documentaries are my go-to. When I'm home by myself or I have time alone, that's what I'm going to put on. And, they pick on me about it, lovingly, of course. But, my answer to that is I find it fascinating to learn about people who look completely unremarkable. That, it helps to remind me that everybody who I pass walking down the street or driving by, everybody has their own shit, their own entire traumatic life. And it's interesting to me to see how different people overcome or deal with or don't overcome bizarre things that happen, even not necessarily bizarre things, just in things in general. I mean, it's fascinating. Yeah. So, yeah, I really like documentaries a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Excuse me, because I'm still kind of sick.
Oh no.
Are you?
Since August, or the end of August.
That's like the malingering. Do you have the dropsy? I don't know.
I went to the doctor yesterday. Thursday. I went to the doctor on Thursday, and he thinks I have just a deep sinus, some deep
infection.
No, not an infection, which is what I kept waiting for it to develop, but it never did. So he prescribed some steroidal nose spray and a neti pot, which I tried for the first time yesterday, and it was a horrific experience. And I will continue to.
But was it worth it? Like, I've never done that either, but I mean, I've talked to people who swear by those things, and
once I figured out that you really need to lean forward. Like, I was leaning kind of forward, and got it in there, and until you leave your mouth open so you can still breathe a little bit. And I wasn't lean forward back far enough, and it started going down my throat. I'm like, ugh. And then it's I can feel the liquid in my ear canal. I'm like, this is the worst. Ugh, it was awful.
So you just done it the one time.
I just did it. Well, that was yesterday. I will do it today.
It's possible now that with lessons learned, the next time you use it, it won't suck, as the suck factor will be slightly diminished.
I will let you know. It was a very unpleasant. I told TJ that I think I would rather give myself an enema. I feel like the enema was more was easier to bear than.
Maybe you
should the look on your face. It's like,
wow. I feel like that tells me everything I need to know about it.
So, viewers and listeners, if you've done the neti pot and also had to give yourself an enema for any reason, let us know. What do you think?
Yeah, if you're gonna do any drawings or anything, I think that the neti pot or the enema experience really should be part of it.
I feel like I want to give away a copy of this book just to have it flying.
Yeah, just to have, put in the comments your favorite enema story.
You never know. It could work its way into a Colette Moody book.
Yeah.
It could. Never know.
Maybe not, though.
Could happen.
You have a connection. Wear your shades. You're not wearing shades.
I feel like I probably got enough like liquid poo from this book to maybe tide me over forever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So I am non-committal on recommending or not recommending.
Yeah, I feel like there were really good things about this book, and then there were things that drove me crazy and made me want to put the barrel of a gun in my mouth. So it really could go either way.
It goes either way, yeah. Damn.
If you're having a particularly up day, and you feel like, you could go ahead and risk it. Give it a try.
So bad. Oh, yay. And on that note, I think we can talk about our next holiday show will be December 15th. We've already decided. Can you believe it, y'all? At this moment, I think we're all pretty much in agreement that we're going to do, I don't remember the name of the book exactly.
The Most Dangerous Animal of All. Is that by Colette?
What's that?
Who's it by?
Gary L. Stewart and Susan Mustafa.
Okay.
Narrated by the author, Gary Stewart.
Oh, well, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So again,
sometimes it doesn't.
So the subtitle is Searching for My Father and Finding the Zodiac Killer. So basically, this dude is doing research on his biological father, and he starts to sort of piece together that he thinks that his father may have been the Zodiac Killer.
Dun, dun, dun. So
right. And so the reason that I thought that it was The Most Dangerous Game is because that is a movie that I don't know how much you guys know about the Zodiac Killer.
Very little.
Very little. Well,
okay, so
the Zodiac with Jake Gyllenhaal. I watched that movie.
Oh, you did? Okay. So The Most Dangerous Game is a movie that came out many decades ago. that was about, you know, it's one of those sort of, I mean, it's actually kind of a trope now where wealthy man decides, oh, please come to my hunting thing because I'm going to hunt you. And because man is the most dangerous game. So it's a movie about hunting people, and that ends up tying into the search for the Zodiac Killer. I think they determined that he went to a theater that was playing the Most Dangerous Game. I think he makes reference to the Most Dangerous Game in one or potentially more of the letters that he sent to the San Francisco Chronicle, because he's kind of the 20th century version of Jack the Ripper, right? I mean, he's not slicing open prostitutes, but he is targeting typically couples who are, you know, just trying to live their lives and maybe making out.
Maybe making out.
And he is trying to kill them, and in many instances succeeding. So yeah, these were a string of murders that went on from the mid 60s into the 70s, and then eventually stopped. But I feel like there's a TV show, maybe on the Discovery Channel, where they had a couple of guys. Is that a kitty cat?
It is.
Okay. Is Kitty Cat in heat?
He wants to come up.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, come on up, Kitty Cat. Because I mean, just something about the
dog
had a little sort of hey,
come hither, come hither.
Right, a little come hither-esque. But yeah, so now I don't even remember what the fuck I was talking about.
The Zodiac Killer, something, I don't know.
Yeah, blah blah blah. I don't know.
Blah, blah.
But yeah, that's that whole thing that I mentioned earlier about being old, where you are just trudging along down your verbal path, and then bam!
You were talking about couples, and
like he was the modern day Jack the
Ripper couple.
Right. And then ultimately the sort of the so there was I want to say last year there was a season of some show on, maybe on the Discovery Channel, maybe a different channel, but it was like Finding Zodiac. And so it was detectives who were working on, basically they were working at like a cold case to try, because the Zodiac Killer was never formally charged or ID'd. No one was ever arrested for those crimes. And there seemed to be a number of crimes through California of that era that weren't previously associated to the Zodiac Killer. So there may be a lot more than what we know.
Wow.
There's I know that on for folks that are on Reddit that are interested in true crime or unsolved crimes, the Zodiac is one of the ones that I think has a large community. So, yeah.
Well, because I think what made it interesting, you know, in the same way that Jack the Ripper would send letters to Scotland Yard and include fucked up things like body parts, right? The Zodiac Killer would send letters to the San Francisco Chronicle and would include things like, here is a swatch of fabric from the victim. Here is part of his shirt.
And he was doing, like ciphers and
right. And he had all of these complicated ciphers, some of which have still never been decoded.
Huh. Damn.
Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty interesting. And then if you saw the Jake Gyllenhaal movie, I can't really hear the Hurdy-Gurdy Man song by Donovan anymore without feeling super creeped out. Because it's playing in the car with the first two victims. And I mean, they used it beautifully. I feel like it was probably... Like, I think it was anachronistic. I think when the murders take place, the song probably wasn't out yet, but it was still, it was a great
Cool.
selection. For every other reason.
I heard that. So the guy that Jake Gyllenhaal plays in the movie wrote a book, and that's something that I had seen on in some Reddit communities, that there are issues with the book, that he got facts wrong or made shit up or something like that.
Okay, like seriously made shit up?
Yeah, I don't recall what I don't recall it because I really wasn't paying that close of attention. But if anybody's wanting to read that book, that might be something to look into also.
I mean, I basically stumbled across this PDF somewhere online a few years ago where somebody was, I mean, it was written almost like a dissertation, where somebody was saying, here, I found, I took a map of the San Francisco Bay Area, and I took the Halloween card that the Zodiac Killer sent to the Chronicle, and I overlaid them, and based on some of the ciphers from this letter of the same time period, this points to this thing on the map, and the skeleton from the card is pointing to this. And therefore, I mean, it was amazing. I will find the PDF and send it to you guys because it is fascinating. But I mean, it is by no means a short read.
I am telling you, you need to go on Reddit and look at some of this stuff, because some of these threads for and communities for unsolved crimes, these people aren't fucking around. Like, they are legit reading all of the police reports. They're seriously, and they'll, like, in a lot of the disclaimers or rules on the when you first get into it, they're like, this is not about all bullshit. We are serious about investigating this crime, and I believe that, and I may be talking out of the side of my neck, but I thought that Michelle McNamara had also been involved in some Reddit some subreddits. I feel like that's true from the book that we read, but now I can't remember. I feel like it's true, but seriously, if you're interested in any,
I feel like
for the Zodiac Killer,
I feel like it would make sense for her to be on there, and I think she even referenced it in her book, because I think that's why you think that, because I think she did genuinely talk about that, and she talked to a lot of smart people who gave her additional information.
Yeah. We need to wrap it up, because first of all, we're over time, but also my bladder is going to explode.
Okay, well, this was a fun show, even if it was a depressing subject matter.
Wait till next time. So everybody's got you've got plenty of time. If you have a Scribd membership, the book that we're going to do is on Scribd, both the book and the audiobook. I haven't looked at Audible or Amazon yet for it, because we all have Scribd. If you are interested in Scribd, you can sign up and get a free trial and listen to the book, and then not do anything else with it.
Yep. So happy Thanksgiving for all the Americans that are on listening or watching, and we'll see you on the 15th of December with our next show.
All right.
Right. We'll talk about dead people.
Woo-hoo! So long, all.
Bye.